were recording that?
No, I'm recording this. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the research prospectus. Shh. And go ahead and click on the prospectus document itself. You'll also notice here that I've given you different links to the rubric that I'm going to use to grade you, and kind of an overview of the assignment, its instructions and why we do it. I've also given you a link to Alabama Virtual Library because that's one of the main sources that you're going to use to find your preliminary research sources, okay? But let's go ahead and go to the prospectus first. By the way, sometimes you guys, you will see the link to this in the assignment section. It'll be a document that has your name on it. It'll say like Word document in the assignment box, and you can click on that and see the same thing I'm seeing, okay? All right, once you get here, go ahead and click Open in New Window. All right, and then it will let you open with Google Docs. I know we did this yesterday, but some people needed me to go back over this, so I'm going to do that portion again. If you've already done some of this and created the document and the folder, you're good. So this is the sample prospectus that you're going to use as your template, okay? And you can really just kind of keep the formatting the same and just kind of type your information, plug your information in where need be, okay? So what I did was I went up here and I clicked in this box and I named it HSP Prospectus dash, and then I put my initials. So make sure you rename the document. The next thing that I did was up here where you have this little icon of a folder. Right now, for some of you, that might just say My Drive. Yesterday, we created a folder just for this class where you could drop all of your Honor Senior Project work. If you did not do that yesterday, I'm going to show you how to do it again. So you'll just click up on that little folder icon, and it will give you the option down here in the right left-hand corner to create a new folder. So you can click on New Folder. It'll come up as Untitled, and then you change the name. You can put HSP Block 2 in your initials for Honor Senior Project, okay? Okay, and then you'll just click that little check box to create the folder. And then it'll ask you if you want to move that document there, and then you can click Move Here. I would suggest saving all of your Honor Senior Project work in that folder so it's all organized in the same place. However, I'll say this, if you don't create this folder or you forget to save something in this folder, it's still going to be in your Google Drive. You're not going to lose it just because it's not in this folder. That's just a quick way to organize the information that's in your drive, because I'm sure you guys are going to use your Google Drive to upload other stuff, other kinds of files. Maybe it's not even related to English work. So, you know, you want to kind of organize these files, George. That's going to be important. Okay. All right, so once I've created that, I can click Move Here. Okay. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and start typing. So I can already use a lot of the formatting that's already there. You can really just kind of replace your name with the sample name. Where it says up here, Sample Prospectus, go ahead and click on the heading and just take out the word sample, because this is going to be your final prospectus. Okay. Put your name here. My name's already plugged in. This is already Honors English 12 Block 2. Block 4, when you watch this, you'll just put B4. And for the date, you want to put that in military format, and you can put the due date, which is going to be 26 August 2019. Now, I use the sample writer W.B. Yeats, so I'm going to keep him on here. I'm not going to change that. But here, you'll just plug in your author's name. Just go back to your comments. Okay. For the topic, everybody's topic's going to kind of read the same. You're just replacing this with your author's name. The life and literary influences of, insert your author's name there. Okay? Okay. Your research question, everybody's research question is going to be the same too, but you're going to replace it with your author's name. How did blank's life influence his or her literary works? Okay? No. You are coming up with the thesis. So your thesis needs to answer your research question. Remember that the thesis statement is just that, a statement. It is not a question. It answers a question. It tells me the main idea that you're going to be arguing in the point of your paper. What you need to do is give me at least 3 ways that the author's life influenced his or her work. That means you're going to have to do a little bit of preliminary research on your author before you can write that thesis. Notice that it does say preliminary thesis, which means this is a working thesis. It may change as you gather more information about your author. That is fine. This is just a working thesis that you have moving forward. Mine is 3-pronged. I would suggest the same approach for yours. Notice that I have used some of the same language from the question to create this thesis. W.B. Yeats's literary works were primarily influenced by. You can begin your thesis that way if it helps you. J.K. Rowling's work was primarily influenced by, and then list 3 things in her life, okay? W.B. Yeats's literary works were primarily influenced by his interest in occult, esoterica, and Irish folklore. There's my first one. Irish politics, number 2. And his unrequited love for Maud Gonne, number 3. So now in the paper, I, the reader, your teacher, know exactly which 3 subtopics you're going to be talking about and discussing. The first one you're going to be talking about is how Yeats's work was influenced by his interest in the occult and Irish folklore. The second thing I know you're going to be talking about in the body of paper when you finish up with that first subtopic is how his work was influenced by Irish politics. And the third thing that I know you're going to be talking about in the body of your paper is how his love for Maud Gonne influenced his poetry. And that's what's going to be contained in your body, the body of your paper. So here's the nice thing. Once you have your thesis statement written, you know exactly what you're going to be talking about in your paper and when. Because the order that you put those elements in the thesis is the order you're going to talk about them in the body of the paper. So your thesis also kind of gives you the organizational structure for your paper. Now, the proposal section. Give a short biographical account of the writer's life and major works. Be sure to tell me why this author is important to British literature. You are going to do a little bit of research on your author's life and works, and you're going to basically write up a summary of his or her life or works here. It'll probably be 2 to 3 paragraphs in length. Do not copy and paste this from anywhere on the internet, because guess what? Tomorrow, we're signing in to Turnitin.com. They got it back up and running, okay? Don't try to cheat, okay? Ha ha ha. Okay, you can summarize, put it into your own words, okay? You're going to have to use outside sources to get that information. You're not just pulling it out of the air, but you're not going to use their exact words. You're going to be summarizing, citing, okay? All right, then you're going to be listing your sources. Now, these are probably the same sources that you got your summary from. They're also going to be research sources that you can use for your actual paper later on. Notice, too, that I've put these sources in MLA format. So here's how, now I want to show you how to gather sources and where to go, okay? Yes, you can use Google. You can use Google Scholar. You can do general internet sources. Yes, you can use other websites. But the website that I really recommend for you to do your preliminary research on is Alabama Virtual Library. Now, on that assignment post, I have put a link to Alabama Virtual Library. So everybody go ahead and follow that link there. If you leave your proposal page, that's fine. It will already have saved what you've got so far. So go to Alabama Virtual Library. I want to show you some really neat features of this. Shh. Click on High School Resources. Shh. Oh, good. So you already have some experience with it. So now look over here. The layout of the website has changed a little bit from last year, so it may look a little different than when you last used it. Your project is a literary project. So what is the best category for you to click on for databases? Literature and language. Okay, right up here in the top. One of my favorite databases out of all of these is the Gale Literary Sources. You can certainly use others. You are not limited to these databases, but this is the one that I want to show you specifically because it's the most focused, okay? So go ahead and click on Gale Literary Sources. Now here's the really nice thing about this as well. Up here, do you see where it says sign in with Google? Sign in with your Google account because you can send your sources directly to your Google Drive. So I'm signed in now, and I want to show you something. So when I search, I'm going to search for my author. I'm just going to do a general author search. And I come up with 651 different possible sources on literary criticism, 219 biographies, 58 topic and work overview, 394 primary sources and literary works. Now, I think this is on the Google assignment posting, but you might want to write this down. For your sources, you have to have at least one work of literary criticism, at least one primary source, and one biographical source. Okay? You're going to have more than 3 sources, but you must have those 3 source types. Okay? So right now, I'm going to look for my literary criticism source, and let's say I've decided that this is one of the best articles for me. I'm going to click on this title, and I want to show you what you can do. You always want to make sure you have the link to the full text, like the PDF. So here's what you can do. You see where it says send to your Google Drive? Send it to your Google Drive. And then it's in your Google Drive and you have one of your sources there. Done. Here's the nice thing too about using AVL. Look here where it says citation tools. Click on that. Look what pops up. The MLA 8th edition citation that I can just select and then copy, and then I can paste that sucker right into my prospectus. And it's already formatted and done for me. How nice is that? Right? It's basically taking the bulk of the hard work away from you. Okay? Let me emphasize this though. You need to have these sources saved in your Google Drive. The whole source, the PDF source, or the HTML full text source. Okay? Because you are going to need to get back to these sources to use them in your research. Okay? So make sure you save them to your Google Drive. All right? You can also save them if you want to save them on your flash drive or anything like that. You can do that. But make sure you're downloading the whole source or whatever. You might want to save it in a few places. That's always a good idea, okay? I would also suggest just emailing the source to yourself so that it's not only saved in your Google Drive, but it's also saved in your email and you just have it in multiple places. Yes, ma'am, Lauren.
What kind of source did you say?
You need to have a literary criticism source or a lit crit source. You need to have a primary works source. And you need to have a biographical source. You're going to have more than 3 sources, but you need to at least have those 3, okay? Now, as I said, you can absolutely use other outside sources other than Alabama Virtual Library, other than Gale research, literary research sources, but let me just tell you that AVL is going to be the best source that gives you everything you need. Next week, when you get your library cards, you can also use some of those databases and sources that Ms. Massengill was talking about the other day to gather source information as well. But I think this, for right now and for your purposes with the prospectus, is the easiest thing to use because you get your source information and it does the citations for you. It does the hard work for you. So make your life a little bit simpler and just do it this way, okay? Can you do it other ways? Absolutely. But you're not going to automatically have the MLA citation given to you like that. You can always use a citation generator. But those are kind of incomplete a lot of times. So if you're using an outside internet source, you're going to have to generate that citation on your own, okay? So this is my suggestion. I suggest y'all use this database for your prospectus and gather at least 4 sources for now that you can put in the prospectus. Make sure you have saved those sources to your Google Drive and make sure that you have copy and pasted the citation into your prospectus. So just another quick overview of the prospectus. We've done the top part. You are writing your preliminary thesis after you do a little bit of research on your author and his or her life. You are writing a short biographical summary of his life and works that tells me why this author is important to British Lit. And then you are listing at least 4 primary sources in their MLA format at the end. And you are leaving the signature of approval line for me so that I can sign it and approve it. And that's the whole prospectus. That's it. It is not, you will see this part is not double-spaced. It's only double-spaced between paragraphs. The paragraphs are not indented. This is in memo format, so it is in block format. Don't change that formatting. Keep it just like the example, okay? In fact, you can just use the sample template and retype your stuff over it. That way the formatting is already set up for you, okay? Does anybody have any questions about how to do the prospectus or where to go to find some research? No, everybody's good on that? Okay, so you can work for another 15, 20 minutes before we start putting stuff up, which is exactly what I want you to do. The thing that you need to really do before you get started, you cannot write any of this before you do some preliminary research on your author. So before you even start, you need to do the research first, okay? Gather your sources, save them, save the text citations, go ahead and copy and paste those into your prospectus document. Do a little bit of preliminary reading on your author and his or her life, and then you can begin crafting the preliminary thesis statement and the proposal. Okay, is everybody good? You know what you are doing right now. You have a starting point. Are you going to be able to write the thesis or the proposal or the summary section right now? No. You have to do the research first. How many sources do you need to save? 4 for right now. What are the 3 kinds that you definitely need? Lit-Crit, bio, primary source document. Okay? Okay. I'm going to let y'all get started. Use this time to do this work, okay? All right. 4th block, hopefully that worked for you guys.